Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for spending part of your Friday with us. We always appreciate it because we know it's summertime, and the last thing you want to do is be sitting here listening to news on a Friday night when you can be out having a drink with your friends. So we appreciate you spending it. And my gift to you is that we are live tonight. So we're taking comments, questions, concerns, anything you want to throw at us. You're going to be joined in just a few moments by my good friend, Stephen Gardner, host of the Stephen Gardner Show. There's so much to talk about tonight. We were going to do a pre-recorded show. We were going to go enjoy our Friday. And we woke up this morning and news started breaking that there was some shakeups possibly happening at the Department of Justice. Pam Bondi, who we've been talking about, and I think probably all of us are sick about hearing it, but the news just keeps on developing and developing as each day goes by. The news today is that Dan Bongino is reportedly mulling leaving the FBI. Now, that was the news as of an hour ago. Just before we came on here and did our show prep to do today's show, we were prepping since the moment we wake up in the morning, the news decided to change a little bit more. We're now getting some breaking news that FBI Director Kash Patel is considering resigning if Bongino leaves and Bondi stays. This is just news moments ago coming out of various outlets. So it's unclear what's going on right now at the Department of Justice. We all know what's been going on the last few days, that Pam Bondi, as per the reports that we're getting, took it upon herself to release this memo that the case was closed. Now, yesterday we find out that Judicial Watch's Tom Fitton, who's been suing the U.S. government for these documents, says that they're still reviewing some documents to be released. So people aren't on the same page here. It's apparent Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are on the same page, but it seems that Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche, her assistant U.S. Attorney General, are not exactly on the same page. Where's the disconnect? And who's responsible for the disinformation that's been coming out? That's what we're trying to get to the bottom here. Now, I come on the show the last few days and said, I'm not entirely sure if I trust Bongino. But with this move, I think it becomes a little bit more apparent that Bongino may not be the bad guy and that he wants change. Now, Kash, I've always said that I'm hesitant to say that he may be implicit in some sort of cover-up because I've known Kash for a very long time. I've worked with Kash for a very long time. He was on this show when the great Lou Dobbs was hosting it just about every week. So I really got to know Kash pretty well. So I've always been hesitant to say. Now, we've went over Pam Bondi's record and what I believe makes her a little bit questionable, whether it be her lobbying gigs, maybe whether it be her job as a Florida attorney when Jeffrey Epstein first got in trouble around the early 2000s. There's a lot of questions there. And I think Pam Bondi is doing President Trump a huge disservice by not being fully transparent. If the case sits as what she says it is, be transparent. Don't come out and give us 2 pages worth of nonsense that the case is closed. Don't come out here and say, and I've read this letter to you folks the last 4 days that we've had it out because I think it's so important and it's a slap in the face to so many of us. And I come out here every night, and I have been since January 20th, demanding that we get these documents. So I can't just sit back here and pretend like it never happened and move on as Pam Bondi says that we all should. It wouldn't make me a good person. It wouldn't make me a good journalist. So I understand we're all tired of hearing about it. But until we get what we want, what we deserve as American citizens, I think it's our duty to come out here and demand. A 2-page letter? How many terabytes of data? They say 300 gigabytes of data. It's far more than that. 300 gigabytes, and we got not 1 megabyte of it. We got a bunch of Rolodex names, some flight logs, and a bunch of BS. And in 2 lines, they say the case is closed. The systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. There's also no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. But we know that's a lie. We've been told by numerous people that's not the case. His own attorney, Jeffrey Epstein's own attorney, Alan Dershowitz, came out and said he knows that there's more names. He's seen them. So who are we supposed to believe? This private citizen who may be breaking some sort of client-attorney privilege with Epstein? I'm not sure how it works. I'm not an attorney now that he's dead. Or are we supposed to believe Pam Bondi, who I believe has been misleading us various points along the way? Who are we to believe here? Like I said, I know it seems like we're beating a dead horse, but we just want truth, justice in the American way. We want to find out what happened. We want to find out who was implicated with Jeffrey Epstein. Because if this is the case and there are no files, as they say, then get Ghislaine Maxwell out of jail. She shouldn't be in jail right now. If there's no evidence, as Pam Bondi tells us, then there's no evidence for Ghislaine Maxwell to be in jail. And I'm saying this facetiously because we all know what kind of operation Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein were running. We know the sex ring they were running with minors. So for someone in the Department of Justice to be covering this up is disgusting. And for the people to be out there not talking about it, I think is even more disgusting. Because in no world, I'm sure so many of you out there have kids and grandkids, in no world should we be covering for pedophiles. These are among the worst predators and the worst criminals in society. Preying on children who know better, who have a whole life ahead of them. Their lives are ruined. And we have people who are covering up for it. So that's why I feel the need to keep talking about it. That's why I feel the need to keep beating the dead horse. And I think with this news that just came out about an hour ago with Kash Patel, it tells us that he's not the bad guy, as I believed, and I truly have believed that he's not the bad guy. And I've questioned Dan Bongino. Wasn't entirely sure if maybe he's complicit in it or whatever. But I think with this news that we're finding out today, those two gentlemen over at the FBI are not part of any cover-up and are part of a scheme. Now, it's being reported by Axios. They're the ones who first broke the story. Now, by the way, Axios is the first ones who broke the story on Sunday night about this two-page letter about the case being closed. But Axios is now saying they're trying to put on Bongino that video they released where there's a minute or so missing was on Bongino. It's also being reported that that video was edited 4 times with Adobe Final Cut Pro, I believe, is the software they used. Edited 4 times. The one where there's that minute lapse. Remember, Attorney General Pam Bondi came out the other day and said, that's totally normal. For the last 30 years, that film has overlapped and a minute has been missing every night. We all know how easy it is to manipulate data. And the deep state knows perhaps better than anybody how to manipulate data. So we're just supposed to accept that a minute missing out of perhaps one of the largest cases this country has ever seen is acceptable. And we're just supposed to take her word for it that this is business as usual. It's normal, especially now that you have a assistant director of the FBI and director of the FBI threatening to quit. We're supposed to take that as a gospel. We're all smarter than that, folks. We are all smarter than that. And the faster Pam Bondi wakes up and realizes it, about her disconnect and how about the disservice she's doing to President Trump and the disservice she's doing to this country by doing this, I think we all end up in a better place. Now, there's so much more to get to today. Jerome Powell may be the next man out at a job in D.C. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of this break, we're going to be joined by my friend Stephen Gardner. We're going to take all of this up and so much more. Stay with us, folks. Don't turn that dial. We're coming right back.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that we're making it through. My employees and I want to thank you for your continued support by extending our wholesale prices on classic MyPillows. Get standard classic MyPillows only $14.98. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.98. But it gets even better. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.98. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows $29.98 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including my standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.98, Kings only $1 more. Not only that, order $75 or more, ship absolutely free. From all of us here at My Pillow,
Mike Lindell, a great American. If you don't have a My Pillow, you see how cheap they are. Go get yourself a My Pillow and get the best sleep in the whole wide world. I want to bring in our guest today. He's a good friend of mine. He's a great American. He does a hell of a show, almost as good as mine. Sometimes it's better. My friend Stephen Gardner, host of the Stephen Gardner Show. Stephen, happy Friday. Thank you for taking the time to join us, but there's so much to talk about today. I couldn't let you off the hook.
You know, I'm trying to catch up with you. I've been trying to grow this beard so I can be as handsome as you. But yes, my show is it's trying to keep up. But man, what a heck of a news cycle. I mean, every week under Donald Trump is like a month's worth of news. And now he's down in Texas trying to comfort families that are mourning. And back in Washington, D.C., it seems like it's all falling apart.
I don't know what's going on, and I try. The audience is so tired of hearing about this, Stephen, but it's just more revelations after more revelations. Earlier today, as I said on the monologue, we find out Dan Bongino is mulling a disappearance out of Congress. We now look at the poly market odds of Dan Bongino out as deputy director. They're saying a buy at 35 cents by July 31st. So people aren't entirely sold on it. I don't know if I am, but Kash Patel now says that if he goes, he's right behind him. Either that's a good friend or that's a man that knows something that we don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think that they are taking a major reputation damage for something that's out of their control. So from what I'm reading, they were like, okay, this is an important story. We need to get this right. And then suddenly a memo leaks to Axios on a Sunday night. Like, why use Axios? It's not even a news organization that Trump likes.
Yeah.
And then to tell all of us to cover our eyes and our ears and what we know we've seen with our own eyes is nothing. I mean, no parent is going to put up with this pedophilia, this child porn, this creepo loser guy, and then to just pretend like that's, not real after all of these years. For me, I get why they want to leave. I get it. Their reputations are taking a hit over Pam Bondi not delivering on this correctly. I mean, even if the answer is we don't know if a previous administration destroyed information. Like, there's a lot we don't know, but we're being transparent with what we have right now in 2025.
Yeah, so that's the thing. If Obama or whoever, I often say Obama because that's who I believe was president, just a few months ago, a year ago, for Joe Biden, whether it be them, why would Pam Bondi want to fall on the sword for these people who maybe deleted all the evidence, maybe didn't delete all the evidence? Why would she want to take the fall for that? It doesn't make any sense to me. Now, DC, Stephen, as you know, makes zero sense to all of us, but this makes like the least amount of sense in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I don't understand it. I don't think that they understood how important justice on this story is. There's no way that thousands of children were trafficked to who? No adults? Yeah. To nobody, So it is a big deal, especially those that are on the internet that are following this story for years. It's like, following your favorite TV show and then it has a terrible ending. Like, that doesn't feel good to anybody. But with this one, we know that there's meat on this bone, but it's like they're not willing to chew on it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So that letter comes out Sunday night. Now, they say it's also reported that there was some sort of amnesty deal that was trying to be pulled the wool over the eyes of the American people as part of this. So that happens. Then 2 days later, you get an announcement of investigation of James Comey and John Brennan. Okay, that's interesting. And then in the mix of this whole thing, Alan Dershowitz goes on a show with Sean Spicer and says this.
This is not an opinion. This is a fact. I have seen, remember, I was accused falsely and they have seen, and ultimately I was completely cleared. The woman admitted that she may have mistook me for somebody else and withdrew all of her lawsuits. And so from day one, from the day I was accused, I said I want every document out because I knew every document would prove I was innocent. So let me tell you, I know for a fact documents are being suppressed. and they're being suppressed to protect individuals. I know the names of the individuals. I know why they're being suppressed. I know who's suppressing them, but I'm bound by confidentiality from a judge and cases, and I can't disclose what I know. But I hand to God, I know the names of people whose files are being suppressed in order to protect them, and that's wrong.
Just out of curiosity, without names, are these politicians, business leaders, both?
They're everything. And let me tell you, a lot of them are, at least one of them is somebody who was accused. Others are accusers. And the judges have said, if somebody calls themselves a victim, we're not going to give any information about them, but they may not be victims. They may be perpetrators. So we don't have information about false accusers. And we know there have been many false accusers who have accused innocent people for money. And those records are being deliberately, willfully suppressed. And they shouldn't be suppressed. If the accusation is allowed out, so should the material that diminishes the credibility of the accuser. We want total transparency on this. Every single document, no redaction. That's what I've said from day one. I waive any of my rights of privacy. Anything there is about me, I'm happy because it will be exculpatory.
This man knew Epstein perhaps better than anybody, Stephen, for a long time. Cut his ties. Now, people love him. People hate him. I don't really have an opinion on him. He's a non-entity to me. But he knew Epstein perhaps better than anybody, spoke to him, represented him, and cut ties. Like, is this too much to ask for?
Well, it sounds like he's under a gag order. And so he wants to come forward. But as a lawyer who's practiced for 50 years, he respects the law and understands it. He doesn't want to get himself in hot water. But when he came on my show, I asked him straight up, were you a part of this Epstein stuff? He said, I'm so glad you asked. I absolutely was not. I'm happy to go on the record about this, but I know that there are people that are, but I'm not one of them. And, so to see him come on the Sean Spicer show and say this, I was like, whoa, okay, this is a guy who probably knows some stuff, and he's coming out saying, we want the truth, right? So you've got a top Democrat lawyer that was Epstein's own lawyer saying, I know stuff, and I'm not allowed to talk about it.
So how do you think, before we wrap up this topic, how do you think this all plays out? As I had mentioned, Judicial Watch Tom Fitton still has a pending lawsuit where they're mulling releasing more documents, but Pam Bondi says it's case closed. How does this thing all wrap up?
I think President Trump's going to fly back to Washington, D.C. and have a meeting with everybody, probably a closed door meeting in the Oval Office. They're going to do like a situation room on the American government, not on Iran or Ukraine or Israel. And they're going to say, we've got to figure this thing out. It's bigger than any of us realized. We never covered it up. We just fed it steroids. And this thing is going to eat us alive. And we could see somebody fired. We could see somebody resign. I don't know. But right now, like I mentioned, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, their reputations are on the line for a pedophile. No way. They're not going down for this guy.
Yeah, they have a long life to live ahead. And we're getting some word that Pam Bondi reportedly has no intentions of stepping down and is quite proud of her department's work so far. Sources tell Fox News, of course, Pam Bondi going to Fox News because it's like her second job of the day. Truly remarkable. So we've got Kash Patel and Dan Bongino possibly on their way out the door. Jerome Powell may be next. What's going on here? President Trump has wanted him gone for some time now. Scott Bessent is reportedly number 2 in line to take that job, to be the successor to him. Do we see Powell out the door soon?
I think so. New information is coming out. So we just, for the first time in 20 years, had a monthly budget surplus. Inflation is under 2%. Nobody thought we would get there. It's under 2%. Tens of billions of dollars coming in tariffs. Scott Bessent is saying by the end of 2025, we could have as much as $300 billion sitting around waiting for us to bless the American people, to bless the country, to get things going, make America great again. Inflation's down, job numbers are up, 500,000 foreigner jobs down, 2 million Native American citizen jobs up. There's so many things indicating that interest rates need to go down. Are they going to go to zero? Probably not, but they're way too high right now.
They shouldn't go to zero either. There's a median to it. Trump is right, but I know Trump would be happy if they went to zero and negative. That's also not good for the country. It's not good for businesses. In certain situations during COVID, I think that was something that was worth discussing, but there's no reason to cut them down to zero when you have this economy humming. You want to cut them competitively to where other nations are. That's all he's asking for.
Yeah, a lot of nations are paying a lot less in taxes. They're also paying a lot less in interest. And keep in mind, reports are showing that by Jerome Powell keeping rates where he is, it's costing the American government $400 billion, which means it's costing us. That's our money. So if they can, then they should, because it's what's best for the largest amount of people.
Yeah, I mean, we need to be competitive on the world stage. We can't be getting, competing with Russia or China on a world stage when we're absolutely killing ourselves with our own interest rates. It's like self-destructing. But on the other end, Stephen, if you look at it, I can bet you $1 million that I don't have. If Kamala Harris were president right now, Powell would be cutting whatever he needed to cut to make this thing look and stimulate it the way he needed to look to make it that she's doing a great job. Do you agree?
Yeah, he cut him right before the election in order to try to help her. The Democrats always use this one line. He can't be for us. He was installed by President Trump in his first term. Well, President Trump was surrounded by ding-dongs in his first term. Yeah. So this is actually a holdover that then went through the Biden indoctrination. This guy, I think it's time to resign and move on, let some new blood come in, and it's time to lower interest rates.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Speaking of so Powell, I agree with you. Powell's, I think, a Democrat in disguise, and we've had a few of them. James Comey was another one who managed to fool Donald Trump and pull the wool over his eyes to keep him on as FBI director, and we know what we got with him. The Marxist Dems, Stephen, are absolutely losing their minds. They don't know what to do because they're losing at every corner, at every turn. Gas prices a few months ago, right? They wanted to make that the big issue. Gas prices are now down in the hole. Egg prices. Remember, all they wanted to talk about was eggs. You don't even hear them spell the word egg anymore. You look all across the board. Inflation, as you said, under 2%. I think it's like 1.6 and change, something along that. Unimaginable looking at things they were a year ago. So the Democrats now are losing their minds, calling for violence. Take a listen.
According to Axios, some are even being told they need to be more willing to go out there and get shot when fighting. That was a direct quote, get shot when fighting back against some of Trump's policies. One House Democrat saying, quote, and I'll read it to you, our own base is telling us that what we're doing is not good enough. There needs to be blood to grab the attention of the press and the public. How do you respond to that, Leader Jeffries? Are Democrats not meeting the moment, not doing enough to fight these developments?
Well, we are in a more is more environment in terms of the unprecedented assault on the American way of life and our country that has been launched by Donald Trump and compliant House Republicans.
So that's Hakeem Jeffries. I want to roll this clip now I know your audience loves this person. My audience loves this person as well. One Jasmine Crockett.
The violence doesn't come from Democrats, just to be clear. Obviously anyone can be a criminal, but it is MAGA. It's specifically MAGA faction. I don't think traditional Republicans are getting engaged in all of this, but even when we look at, and they don't talk about the assassination attempts anymore that took place with Donald Trump, but these were Trump supporters, right? As well as this most recent situation, they tried to flip it and say, oh, the leftists are, I'm like, this doesn't even make sense, right? But it's only MAGA that does this.
I'm at a loss of words. Can you help me out here?
No, this is a woman who went through like very expensive private school and doesn't seem to I mean, she's about as smart as Ketanji Brown Jackson that doesn't seem to understand the law and how to be a Supreme Court justice. I mean, did you hear what she said? She said that the assassination attempts on Trump were from MAGA people. You're telling me that Thomas Matthew Crooks was for Donald Trump, or that David Ralph was for Donald Trump, who was trying to get bombs from Ukraine in order to take him out in Florida? Give me a break. Look at what happened out in California. Look at what happened out there in the last 24 hours. They go in, they arrest all these people on marijuana farms. They find all these underage teenagers, some of them with no mom and dad. They're basically just paying them slave labor wages. And they're throwing rocks, trying to kill these ICE agents. Yeah, that's MAGA. Those are MAGA people. Give me a break.
Yeah, it was just they try to play it off this way because they say MAGA did January 6th and this and that. And, you know, I was talking about it with someone yesterday. I was there on January 6th reporting for Fox News. And I can't even tell you, Stephen, it had to be like around 6, 7 o'clock at night that I finally figured out what was going on as I was sitting in Fox News headquarters locked down. Because I was at the Ellipse where President Trump gave his speech interviewing people, and there was more people trolling me that I had a Fox News mic flag, calling me a rhino and stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm not a rhino. I work for Lou Dobbs. I promise you I'm not a rhino. I had more people trolling me than were like causing trouble to anybody else. And I'm sitting there, I listen to the speech. I jump in the car and I head up to Fox News, and I find out later what was going on. So, like, to me, it's still mind-blowing that the Democrats tried to play it off, but it's because there's no transparency. We still don't know the real number of how many informants were there on January 6th. We don't know how many government informants caused issues on January 6th. We don't know how many of them were agitators on January 6th. If the administration just came out and gave us these numbers, it makes the Democrats just look like the total fools that they are.
Yeah, it wasn't MAGA that did it. It turns out it was FBI that did it, right? Like, if we're going to get into acronyms causing problems, yeah, I would love for that report to come out. But, you know, I really believe that Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, they're doing what they can. You know, speaking of trafficking, I think one of President Trump's frustrations is like 300,000 children went missing under Biden. Some of them have been sold into sex slavery, child labor, whatever else they're doing. And he's like, so that happened under Biden. We've rescued over 10,000 of them. Like, can we get some credit for trying to get children safe? Like, so I don't know. I think he might have misread the room on the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, but I don't believe he's in it. And I believe if he understands that this is important to his voters, he's going to make it important to himself.
Yeah, I don't think he lets this go to sleep. You know, Bill O'Reilly came out the other day and said that the reason is he doesn't want people who are innocent who are in it. And I'm sure there are people, right? Dershowitz is one of them who was friends with him before he found out about his stuff, what was going on. But the big picture is the work that Trump is doing, and it's going to be diminished by this. Just in the month of June, Stephen, you ready for these numbers? 30,000 illegal aliens were arrested by ICE for June. The most illegals arrested by the agency in at least a half a decade. Unbelievable numbers that we're seeing coming out. Tom Homan, I've said it, is the hardest, smartest working man, obviously, aside from President Trump and J.D. Vance, in this administration. Yeah. And he has no help.
Yeah, and now with the big, beautiful bill passing, they're going to have the money that they need, the resources for Border Patrol, building the wall, ICE being able to go out and fulfill that promise of getting the criminals out of our country. Yeah. It's great. But at the same time, they just arrested one of the top gang leaders in Nebraska, a guy who they know for a fact has murdered 5 people. What they don't know is how many people he killed that they don't know about. What are Democrats doing? They're defending this guy. They're fighting. They're saying, you got to let him go. How dare you round him up? Like, why is it that they always defend the criminal and never the victim? It's so backwards.
But the problem is nobody holds him accountable. I was talking with Robert Cahaley yesterday on this show from Trafalgar Group, one of the leading pollsters in this country, among the 4 or 5 great pollsters in this country. And they said, Robert, back in the day when we did something wrong in school, and in the school, you probably didn't have this problem, but I had it just about every single day, Steve, when I was in school. School would call your parents. When you would get home, your parents didn't have a toy there waiting for you to say, here's a toy, don't do it again. I usually had a belt or something waiting for me, or a hand or a wooden spoon saying, you don't do it again. But members of Congress, we saw in the big, beautiful bill, promised this, promised that. Lisa Murkowski, to get her vote, they had to give her $50 billion for this, or 25 billion, whatever the heck it was. So they had to bribe these people. Whereas it should be, if you don't want to get along with the party and what we believe, either leave the party, or we're going to spend every last dollar that we have against you to make sure that you lose in a primary to somebody who is a Republican. It's so ass backwards, as you said.
Yeah, now you've got Republicans fighting to keep the Doge spending cuts off of the books. Like, it's one of the most, Jeffrey Epstein, not popular. They want answers. Doge, extremely popular. They want more Doge. And Republicans go, you know what? We should probably not do Doge. Like, come on, man. You guys, you know what your people want. Why are you doing the opposite of it? But then they continue to win elections, which then I don't know what to tell you. It's backwards.
Yeah, because they continue to back these people up and allow them to get away with it. It's unbelievable. I mean, good on Mike Johnson for he put this out just the other day. I think it's a 28 bullet point plan in which they're going to codify. It goes into deportations and the things that'll be easy for them to codify. That you would think that they'd be able to get it all together, but of course you have Susan Collins, who's now an opponent of it. Comes as no surprise. Jerry Moran of Kansas, Mike Rounds of South Dakota, Dan Sullivan of Alaska, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska are all 5 rhinos in the Senate threatening to hold this up. So what is John Thune going to do about it? He's probably going to go out there and offer them some sort of sweet deal, right?
Yeah, why are these people even in the Republican Party? It's like, listen, if you wanted the days of George W. Bush, they are gone. So why don't you get gone? But again, these people, they're in it for money and power. There's a lot of money that's thrown at them, but they're muckrakers. I hope that they get voted out.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break here. So much more to talk about on the other side, Stephen. We're going to take some comments from the audience. We've got a really big audience with us tonight. We're coming right back. Stay with us.
Just like all of you, I had problems sleeping. I had tried every pillow out there and nothing worked. I'd flip-flop all night, use my arm for support, and fall asleep, or I'd wake up with a sore neck or maybe a headache. Well, quality sleep comes from keeping your neck straight at night. You have to fill in that space between your head and your bed. That's why I invented My Pillow. My Pillow's patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs, and it doesn't matter if you sleep on your back, stomach, side, or any combination of all 3.
When I got My Pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night, and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get Classic King My Pillows for only $19.98. Queen size just $18.98. Standard Classic My Pillows only $14.98. That's right, only $14.98. Plus all orders $75 or more ship absolutely free.
Thank you all for staying with us, and we appreciate you being with us on this live edition of the Great America Show with our good friend Stephen Gardner. You can catch Stephen Gardner every day, multiple times a day, on his channels on Rumble and YouTube at Stephen Gardner 1. He does the Stephen Gardner Show. Really, really good, in-depth analysis of everything that is going on. So we ask you to go check out Stephen when you're not joining us. And we do shows at different times, so we're not competing. As you can tell, we're friends because this is a business, honestly, where you need friends in it, not enemies, because we all want the same goal. We all want the same objective, Stephen.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to spread the truth. And so if we can get on and give people a great show full of really great information, I'm on board.
Yeah. So let's get to some questions over on YouTube, Twitter, wherever you guys are joining in from. Let us know. We'll get to your questions before we wrap up the show. Mary Gobin over on YouTube. Great guest. Are you talking about me or Steven? You're probably talking about Steven, as you should be. Over on Rumble, Nude Monk Bondi is probably Jeffrey Epstein in a mask and a dress. Stephen, do you want to talk about that one?
Well, no, I don't think it is, but she does have a history with him from when she was down in Florida. So that does make me a little bit nervous. Is her heart in the right place? Is she doing the right thing? I don't know. We're going to see. You and I are probably going to be covering, someone's going to resign, someone's going to be let go, or they're going to come out and say, hey, if this isn't important to you, we're going to come together and deliver for you.
Yeah. Speaking of that, it brings us to our next comment over on Rumble, I believe it was VibeScribe. There needs to be a shakeup out the White House, and that's exactly, I think, what Stephen just said. As we broke to you at the top of the show, either as it's reported right now by Axios, not by John Fawcett or Stephen Gardner, Dan Bongino is mulling leaving, and Kash Patel is reportedly saying if he leaves and Pam doesn't, I'm out the door with him. As Stephen and I said, I don't think that's just a man who's being a good friend. I think it's a man who knows something that's not being told to us.
John, I think your audience would agree with me. President Trump has done so much in under 200 days.
Yeah.
But my gut feeling is the number one thing that his voters are looking for is real accountability. They want to know about Fauci. They want to know about the COVID. They want to know about the Biden crime family, the auto pen, the 2020 stolen election. They want to know about Russiagate. They want to know about John Brennan, James Comey, Clapper. Like the list goes on and on. Yes. Epstein. We want answers. We want people arrested. It's very frustrating to humans. Humans are built to want justice.
Yes.
And when it doesn't happen, we get really frustrated. I mean, like when someone blows through a red light, I go, I wish there was a cop right there. There's something built into us, right?
Yeah.
And so when you see a creepy pedophile get away with stuff with the government backing them, or you see an election rigged and we end up with the most retarded yogurt for brains president that makes everybody's life expensive. Everybody's life got more expensive. And then you find out that they're making tens of millions of dollars. People want accountability, and I do too. I want it too.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Especially, like I said, when it comes to this kind of thing. Over on Facebook, Mary Jo Brinkman, news outlets jump on the gossip bandwagon. What do you think about that?
I think sometimes they do, but I think that they're trying very hard to control a narrative. So if you're on the right, they might jump on the bandwagon because they know what their audience is wanting to hear or see happen. But over on the left, they're very much trying to control a narrative and a facade for Democrat voters so that they won't go like the Black community, right? A lot of them are waking up going, okay, what have they done for us in 50 years? Nothing. They've done nothing for you. So stop voting for them, right? But they have to control the narrative and the facade. It's a fake thing. And they do a great job of it, but we've got our eyes open.
The sad news is you and I do a bigger audience than some of CNN and NBC's number with, I call it low budget operations because we're operating, Stephen, me more than you, low budget operations, because it doesn't take a million people to just tell the truth. It takes one person. Now, to put a show together, it takes a little bit more than that. And I have some great people work on this show. Our editor is, I probably wouldn't survive without him. I won't say his name just in case there's any Marxist Dems who want to go after him, but he's just an absolutely terrific guy. But these news organizations are multi-million dollars, some of them billion-dollar organizations, and they just can't get their act together. I see CNN, I think, in the next few years failing because it's just how bad of a show that they put on that the people are just absolutely tired of it.
Yeah, they're going to end up being like a cooking network or something like that. But you bring up a good point. I'll just quote House Speaker Mike Johnson after Hakeem Jeffries blathered on for 8 hours and 44 minutes to try to stop the Trump bill. He said, well, it takes a lot of time to build a lie and only a few minutes to tell the truth, right? So these guys, they've been building lies for years. I mean, they literally have people that still believe that Donald Trump is a Russian asset. Like, get over yourselves. Get into 2025. the country has moved on from that. But again, we want arrests.
Yeah. Over on Facebook, Paula Hogan, Dan is a straight guy. So if he's not happy, he will soon let you know. I've said it all along. I think Pam Bondi is probably at the root of it, and it seems that's where we're at right now. Shout out to Kelly Song, one of my dedicated audience members here, Stephen. She doesn't miss a show. This woman and Fall Girl on Rumble, they do not miss a show. If I'm not here, they think there's something wrong. So I appreciate these two ladies tuning in every night. Trust in President Trump. He's probably dealing with it right now on Air Force One. I do. I have total confidence, and I think you probably do in President Trump in doing the right thing at the end of the day, right?
I gotta make sure that people know how I voted. Right? I'm with Trump. I know he's not a perfect person, but my gosh, I don't know that there's anyone on planet Earth that's dealing with more fires. I genuinely believe that he is doing his best to end all the wars, to make America great, to keep us safe. This guy is up against so many bad influences. So yeah, I continue to trust that he is doing his very best.
He ain't going to let us down. He hasn't yet, and I don't think he does. Cash and Bongino are patriotic men of God. We pray for them to get the transparency out and the truth. I think that's what Stephen and I have intimated throughout this episode. Turning the page a little bit here on Jennifer Garten over on Facebook. No amnesty. Release the list for heaven's sake. And what's happening to Pam? She's usually a good person, so come on in. So the amnesty, we haven't spoken about that yet, but that's what was apparently being floated on Sunday night, Stephen, that they were looking to get some sort of amnesty deal through some worker program. I don't think it's true, and I hope it's not true, because if President Trump does that and his administration tries to do that, the public opinion polling is not going to be good.
Yeah, no, it would be a direct breaking of a promise. And one thing is, people like that Trump is not a politician, and they like that he makes a promise and then he tries to keep it. He can't always keep it, because at the end of the day, he still has to work with different branches of government. But that doesn't mean he doesn't fight like hell to make it come true. But I think he knows Ronald Reagan made a mistake with amnesty. It destroyed California.
Yeah.
President Trump doesn't want to do that. Are they going to make exceptions down the road after they get the criminals? I don't know, but they're going to do what they think is best for America.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Is it possible to deport 30 million people? I'm not saying this is what I want, or not want, but I don't think it's physically possible to deport that many people. I think they're doing the best job they possibly can, getting as many as they possibly can, but to get that many people out, I think it's going to be very hard. But they're doing their best at starting with the criminals, and it's where they should start. These people who are putting drugs on our street, these people who are causing havoc on our streets, is absolutely where they need to start. That's just the way it is. Teresa Ferrara, sorry, no matter who you are, if you're guilty, you need to be exposed. I think that's the premise of what I've said every day, Stephen. This week, you've probably been saying the same on your show.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand where maybe Trump through Bill O'Reilly is saying, if we just put names out there and then they become guilty by association and they're innocent, that's reputation killing, At the same time, if you're guilty, I want to see you perp walked and go to jail. Like, this is one of the worst offenses ever, for those in your audience that are, Christians, Jesus said it would be better that you have a stone hung around your neck and thrown into the sea than to do these horrible, terrible things to children. So I'm not opposed to that, man. You go after little children. It's even in prison, they will kill you because they've got babies on the outside. They don't mess around with this one.
I'm a big fan of the death penalty in situations, and I think this absolutely qualifies you, no questions asked, for the chair. I don't care what anyone says. This is one, Stephen, that really hurts me. That I talk about the Catholic Church here a lot. I'm a Catholic. I was born, raised a Catholic, and what I've seen done in the Catholic Church has made me sick over the course of the last 10, 20 years. That there's no accountability. So this is one that I really take offense to, that needs to be handled. And like I said, I think the chair is saying it lightly for some of these people. Bob Woody, let's go to the island and dig up and see what we find. That's actually a really it's not something I've even thought of yet. Why haven't we went to the island? Not you and I per se. Thank God we didn't go, but the federales in the United States to go and see what's there. That's a really interesting one, I think.
Well, and a lot of people get hung up on who's on the flight logs, right? But Little St. James, most people were arriving by yacht.
Yeah.
So like we really don't know who was arriving and who was leaving and all of that. But you can't tell me that there are thousands of trafficked kids to nobody. It just doesn't make any sense. Logically, it makes no sense.
That's what I've been saying, the same exact thing. There's no way Jeffrey Epstein had 1,000 kids there by himself with Ghislaine Maxwell. It doesn't smell right. There's people who partook in it, and we just want to know who. Now, how they handle these situations, I've told you how I feel these people should be handled. But, let us know exactly who they are. Are they going to give Dan more authority in higher management position? Doug Taller over on Facebook. It doesn't seem as so. That's the way he's going to go. It seems if Bongino goes, it's not to a higher position. It's because of his own rationale and reasoning to go. Kelly Song, I want a 0% interest rate again on my new car loan this fall. Stephen and I, it's funny, both drive a Jeep Wrangler. This may be grounds for us to go out, Stephen, and go buy some new Wranglers just so we don't have to pay any interest on the loan. What do you think?
Well, I don't know that they'll go to zero again.
They're talking about in the big beautiful bill the interest. Writing
off your interest. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Over on Facebook, no one gets an easy ride. They were children. Anyone have anything to do in any of the pain and hurt them will pay. That's what Stephen and I think have been advocating for. Pam Bondi needs to be fired. I never trusted her. Give me your take. What do you think? Do you think she should be fired? Should she resign? What would you do if you're President Trump right now, Stephen?
I mean, I think that they're going to have a come to Jesus moment this weekend. And President Trump doesn't mince words. If he needs to get rid of somebody, I think he's going to. If he's afraid of losing Bongino and Kash Patel, it might force his hand. I think it's going to be a weekend full of news, and I'm here to cover it.
Speaking of, we've got a man over on Facebook, John Faveri. Pam Bondi will resign, 100% fact. We have proof. Pam Bondi will resign. I bet $100,000. Do you want that action, 50-50?
I'm not a betting man, but she might resign.
Oh, good. You know, you're better off. You're not a betting man. Mary Gobin, please bring attention to Tina Peters. I'm sorry, I'm like partially blind. To Tina Peters, American Hero. That's not something I think we talk about. I don't know if you talk about it on your show. I certainly am guilty of not talking about it enough. She's sitting in jail in Arizona for calling out a rigged, stolen election. As it seems, they're still trying to rig elections. Is that fair?
I have wondered why President Trump hasn't commuted her sentence or pardoned her. If he believes the election was stolen, and she risked everything in order to get the data that things were bad in Colorado, I believe that she should receive a pardon or have her sentence commuted and move on. It's a shame. Gold Star mom doing what she thought was right. Colorado hates Trump so much they couldn't get him by removing him from the ballot. What do? They stick it to this grandma. Sad.
Yeah, it's definitely a sad situation, and I think President Trump should do the right thing and make sure that this gets taken care of. Fall Girl Cash's book, Government Gangsters. He wanted to get them all so bad. I was just looking. I've got in my studio right here. I was showing someone yesterday a copy from Cash. When was this dated? He didn't date it. John, thank you for all your dedication to keeping Americans on the right path. And I pray now that Cash has the best interest of the American people to keep us on the right path. And I gotta tell you, Stephen, I'm gonna go to bed a lot easier tonight knowing that this is a situation we're in. I don't mind a little havoc and uproar inside the administration, inside the government, when I feel that something is wrong and something is being done to fix it.
I mean, if nothing else, all of this noise and clamor, it's getting back to the White House. They're now going to say, we now see how important this is. We got to dig. And honestly, like if they had even come out and said, we don't know if evidence was destroyed, but as of right now, we don't have anything. That would be very different than there was nothing. And then we're not looking into this. Stop asking questions. That was just such a terrible answer.
It was the whole, by the way, I got to give you a shout out. We've got record numbers of live viewers on the show right now between Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. So I don't know if it's the guest or what's going on today, but we appreciate all of you guys joining. And it's why we're going to try to get to all of your questions. And I said, I appreciate Steven, spending some time with us. He's got a wife, he's got kids, and it's a Friday evening. So we appreciate him spending time with us. We're going to get to a few more of your questions. Michael Millam, there must be important government and famous people from both parties on that list. I think that's absolutely the case. I don't know any of the names that are on the list. I wish I did, because I would rat like a weasel to come tell you guys who's on that list. But I think there's got to be some sort of government high-profile officials on that list.
Yeah, I don't believe Elon Musk has seen the list, and I think it was inappropriate for him to say Steve Bannon and Donald Trump was on there, and then to later come back and go, actually, I don't know, and I went too far. But Elon was a part of Doge, and Elon said some of the biggest people fighting Doge were Republican establishment leaders. So it is both sides. Absolutely.
Yeah. I say this all the time. The Republicans are just as complicit as the Democrats. The Democrats are just smarter on how to hide it. The Republicans don't know the rear end from a hole in the ground. In some cases, it's like the dog chasing its tail. You're sitting there just watching the dog chase its tail, at a good time. And you're like, hello. Let's see what we've got here. Fall Girl, I believe Cash and Bongino's hands are being tied. Yeah, we definitely got to that. And I think that's probably the case, in my opinion, at least, what's going on. Shake it up, President Trump. You're the best president we've ever had, at least in my lifetime. I think probably in your lifetime, and a lot of people. I think he's got support like he's never had before. Let's see. Michael Stevens, I believe that if true, the DOJ and Bondi are reversing course, exposing 100% of the Epstein files and lying to the American people. There's been corruption and money involved to keep the lid on everything. Either AG Bondi tells the truth publicly, or she should resign after lying to us publicly. So the way I see it is, I think she lied in a sense where she told us the files were on her desk and they were going to be out the next week. I think she lied in the sense where she told us those were all the documents released, knowing damn well that a 200-page file, even a 1,000-page file, was not sufficient. This is a woman who's the Attorney General of the United States. She's not that stupid, either stupid or naive, and I don't think it's stupid. So I do believe that there needs to be public accountability if we can come out and lay out that she deceived us on purpose.
Again, this weekend, I think there's a come to Jesus moment, and I only see three outcomes. She resigns, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, or Trump says we get together and we figure this thing out. Obviously, this is important to the voters.
Yep. He's the man for the top job. I think you're absolutely right. Geneva over on Facebook. Wendell Don, who had the list during the Biden administration? That's a good question. Who was responsible for holding and vetting this list when Joe Biden was president?
Didn't James Comey say he couldn't remember like 200 times when he came in front of Congress? So I don't know who has it, but whoever was running the FBI, bunch of idiots. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. Rich Mello, Dan needs to stay in, but if he can't do anything, he's better on the outside. We'd get more information. Yeah, I think it's telling that Bongino hasn't come out and said a word when this news has been out since the morning. If it was truly just a day off from work, I think he comes out and says, hey, guys, I'm just enjoying a Friday off from work. Silence is key here, in my opinion. Yeah. It's just the way it is. Suzanne, the Epstein case was always covered up by some names linked that wouldn't want it to become public. Amazing how many people are in it. In fact, above the law. Anybody who's being covered up for, I think, is above the law. I'm sure the Clintons and Biden just left the file in a real safe place just so the next administration could find all the evidence they needed to put them where they belong. Moving on to more important things now. Yeah, Teresa and Fisher over on Facebook. we're all tired of talking about it. We absolutely are. But it's just a simple fix here. Tell us what the hell is going on. Don't keep us in the dark.
Hillary Clinton's like, let me take responsibility. I'll just put this on my home computer right next to these emails. Then destroys 30,000 emails, and the FBI goes, we're going to close the investigation on Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. Over on YouTube, Boggs Chips Don't Care, expose them all. Justice for children. Yeah, that we're all on the same page here, which is why we're still talking. It's disclosure. We voted for Trump for disclosure. If he is a coward, liar, or he will come through, everyone else is watching to find out. Yeah, we'll know. I think very soon where the administration lands on all of this. Kelly Song, you're right, Stephen. It'll be a come to Jesus in Bedminster tomorrow. All administrations are guilty.
Can I just say something about Trump's response? Because his response to, are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Why are you asking that question now? That really bothered me. And then I went back and I watched that video a couple of times, and that they were holding a press conference section on the children who had passed away in Texas and the big, beautiful bill. And so I think when they slipped that question in, he was like, why are we talking about that? I'm trying to talk about these children and these families that are suffering, and you bring up Jeffrey Epstein because it makes a good soundbite. Yeah. I think because today, when he's down with the families in Texas, he said, keep your questions focused on this and how the government can help with this. Don't ask me questions from outside of this situation. So I think that really agitated him. I don't think it was him trying to cover up for being on the Jeffrey Epstein list.
No, I think you're absolutely right. We're going to roll a clip here before we wrap up here. I don't know if you ever had Russ Tice on your show. I think we were trying to do it, former senior NSA intel analyst and whistleblower on the Patriot Act. But Russ was on the show, I believe, Monday or Tuesday of this week, and he laid out a really interesting theory that he's never laid out before. And this is a man who's been through the trenches. He's got an extremely impressive resume on how he believes Epstein was killed, who murdered him, and who was responsible. We're going to roll the clip here in just 1 second. It's loading up. But I think it's going to shock you, Stephen, because I don't think you've heard this theory before. Everyone who tuned in to him this week heard it. Very interesting. I don't believe he killed himself. Do you?
I mean, the camera angle that they showed wasn't even his jail cell.
Right.
So, and then the camera that is where the couple of doors are where he was, that camera was broken. The guards fell asleep. I don't know. Something about it is very, very suspicious. But the fact that they put that out as if that was the video that we're all supposed to watch and go, well, yeah, I guess nobody did go in that door. He must have just been in there killing himself. I think something's off.
Take a listen to what Russ had to say, how he believes it went down.
As far as Epstein, here's something I haven't said. I'll say it right now. The CIA is big into the drugs. They have a drug that can basically anesthetize someone to the point where all their bodily functions are working, but they can't, they can't realize, they can't move their motor functions as far as their arm or whatever. So you can put a rope around their neck, you can drown them, you can push them off a building. The cause of death will be drowning. It'll be by hanging. It'll be and Epstein. I think they literally choked him. They used a Garrett and choked him to death. But so it'll be that. But the cause of death or off a building, sudden impact, and the remnants of that drug, they very quickly leave the body. You would have to have a very, very delicate capability with toxicology to be able to pick that out of the blood. And in many cases, like the shooter on the roof, the first shooter that came after President Trump, they certainly got rid of the blood off the roof, and they cremated his body very quickly to make sure that toxicology didn't happen, because I think he was drugged up by the CIA as well. So, it's easy to kill someone, and all the other things, all those other things that don't make sense. The film was probably manipulated. There's a 1 minute or plus, a 1 minute 2 second gap in the film as it is. You can freeze a frame on a camera and make the clock still run so that you see the same frame, but then you lower what's going on in the underneath being recorded. That can be done as well. So, and I'll bet you another thing. I'll bet you the 2 guards and the warden that were in that prison are doing quite well for themselves right now. New homes, they're being taken care of, and they know if they open their mouths, they're going to be dead.
I don't usually like playing videos of myself, but I wanted to get your reaction to that. Russ, Lou and I regarded him, Stephen, as just a totally brilliant man. NSA, 20 years, top secret operations for the Air Force, for all facets of the military. And his career came tumbling down when he whistle blew on the Patriot Act that they were spying on Americans, which we know to be true, but he ruined his life over it to be a great patriot. So it's not a man that I take lightly when he says something like that.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I mean, I've heard you can inject someone with large amounts of potassium and it will give them a heart attack, and then that just goes out of the body. They know now how to inject turbo cancer into people. It would not shock me. Here's the thing. These names that supposedly don't exist, that never received thousands of trafficked children, they have a lot to lose. They would do anything to protect their reputation. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I don't know what the truth is, but I don't think that this guy is just making up gibberish. Whether what he said is true or not, the fact is it's plausible.
Anything is plausible from this government, especially when we don't know anything about the shooters who tried to kill President Trump, Thomas Matthews Cook's body. Sorry, I blacked there for a second. About his body just being burned and cremated within hours of him killing President, or trying to kill President Trump, or the Thomas, whatever his name, David Ralph. We haven't heard a thing about him. So when you look at things like that, you're like, oh, well, they tried to kill the most powerful man in the world, the leader of the free world, former president, leading front runner. Yeah, we don't know anything about that. So very odd. Over on Facebook, there is no way, Michael Candela, there is no way you voted for Trump. I absolutely did. I voted for him 3 times, and I would vote for him a 4th if he could run again. Proudly. Mary Gobin, thank you too for being truth tellers. I don't, care if people like me or people hate me, as long as I'm telling the truth. And I think you're probably the same way, Stephen, for as long as I've known you now.
Yeah, I believe in the truth. I voted for Trump 3 times. I believe that he's the man for the job right now, and it's an honor and a privilege to cover him as a journalist. Honestly,
yeah, I agree. It's a big one. Rhonda Hester, there's something big in the Epstein files, so big that Bondi has been told to hold back on releasing them. She's doing what she's told. Exposing those involved could do more harm than just holding the perpetrators responsible. I think it's possible the entire globe could be affected. Be careful what we ask for. No one gets away with anything. God will sort this out in his time. JMO. I think that's just my opinion. I'm not caught up on the lingo these days. Yeah, I agree to an extent, but at the end of the day, what about the people who are not being fed justice? How about Virginia Giuffre, who was somehow killed in a car accident and died just days after being in a mysterious car accident? What about those children who were on that island whose voices were never heard?
Yeah, it's a travesty. I really hope that we get to the bottom of it. These are the worst of the worst crimes. And for anybody to feel like this guy got away with it, even in death, like people need to be exposed. That's just the bottom line.
Before we wrap up, we'd mentioned Elon Musk a little bit. Miranda Devine did an interview with Susie Wiles, who's the White House chief of staff, the first female White House chief of staff, I should mention, I believe. Pretty crazy for Donald Trump, who's such a misogynist, right? That's what they tell us. Was asked about Elon Musk and his departure. She was kind of nice about it. Let's take a listen.
Similar. The president was very, very kind to him. And Elon had so much to offer us. He knew things we didn't know. He knew people and technologies that we didn't know. It was a great thing when it was a great thing. And I had a very troublesome ending.
Why do you think that happened?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I don't know. I know that what has been said doesn't ring accurate to me, but I don't know. I enjoyed working with Elon. I think he's a fascinating person and sees the world differently. And I think that's probably what the president saw too, just a little bit different than the average Joe. But certainly came to not a good ending.
Yeah, the president seemed to be very interested in him. I mean, he would spend a long time, at dinners and things, talking to him closely. Obviously, there was something there, but...
Well, he's the world's richest man, might be the world's smartest man, honestly.
Yeah.
And he does have a quirky, approach to the way he views virtually everything, but certainly business and organizations and government, and insight into people that were really important, I think, in the very early days, particularly during transition.
And do you think he got, jealous because he wasn't getting Donald Trump's full attention, or was it something else?
No, that doesn't sound like Elon. I don't know. I don't know.
And apart from that, the rest of the cabinets.
Sort of interesting. How do you think this all plays out, Steve, with Elon Musk? Do you think he still puts himself on this kamikaze mission he's on right now? Because he's self-imploding, he's self-destructing, whatever the reason may be on why he left. Some say it's for the electrical vehicle mandate that Donald Trump got rid of. Some say it's because he's mad about the Doge cuts. Some say it's because he didn't go forward with his administrator for the for NASA. There's just a list of things. How do you think this all plays out? Do they make amends, or does he stay on this self-destruction path?
Good question. So this is my theory. I don't know if it's true or not, but within autism, there's a spectrum. There's the ones that are very debilitated. They hit themselves in the head over and over again. The other side of that spectrum is genius level understanding of math, physics, history, all kinds of things. I believe that Elon Musk is autistic. He said so himself. So that's not me theorizing. I think he's a brilliant genius, out of the box thinker. You tell him he can't do something, he does it just to prove you wrong. Yeah. I believe that he thought he was getting Javier Milei, the president of Argentina, that went in, fired a bunch of people, arrested a bunch of people, transformed the government, took it from 35% inflation to 3% inflation. That's why Elon was showing up with chainsaws. We're going to cut through the government, right?
Yeah.
And then he actually got to the government and realized they don't want to change. They have the broken system that they want.
Yeah.
And his brain doesn't deal with broken systems. He doesn't send up broken rockets. He doesn't make broken cars. He doesn't do broken solar panels. He doesn't do broken holes in the earth, right? He is a fixer and an engineer. And so he came in to engineer and fix the government. And the Republicans, and especially the Democrats, they told him, take a hike. We have the exact broken system we want. That's my theory.
Yeah, that I hadn't heard that before. That's actually very interesting about the comparison to Argentina. There's one problem. Argentina's got a GDP of about 650 billion. I think the USA's budget is around somewhere in 30 something trillion dollars. So, it's a little bit different. It's sort of like going into I don't know, like your mom and pop grocery store expecting you're going to get a Whole Foods, right? It's two separate situations. Now, I can't say I like Whole Foods, but it's just two different situations. But I think your analogy is extremely accurate. So you think it was probably more along the lines of Elon was frustrated that he wasn't able to cut what he wanted to cut because of the red tape that rhinos in Congress put up.
Look at what he did with Twitter, and not just giving us back freedom of speech, but he went in there, he fired 80% of the workforce and it actually ran better. He was showing up to Trump rallies with a chainsaw. This guy thought he was going in to doge the heck out of everything, and then he found out that this is just my theory. They didn't want those changes. Now, who is the first person to try to get rid of the Doge cuts? It's Republicans. It's not even the Democrats. So that's just my theory. I hope that they get back together. They did incredible things. They went and rescued the astronauts that Joe Biden abandoned in space to die so that Trump wouldn't win the election. Like, they did so much more good together. They got Starlink for North Carolina. They got Starlink for Israel and Ukraine. Like, they've done so many good things together. I really hope that they can patch this up.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We'll wrap it up there, Stephen. I appreciate it. We went way over time. We're in over an hour now. You and I can talk for hours. There's very few people I can do that with. But I just want to get the heck out, especially on a Friday night. But as we get older, we realize Friday nights aren't what they used to be anymore. Unfortunately, Stephen, you get the last word here. As always, it's a delight to talk to you. It's always a great deal of fun.
I think that Trump is going to have his eyes and ears open on this Epstein thing. They may or may not have the truth, but I believe that Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, I believe that they are working to make America great again, make America safe again. I want the truth to come out, but I don't want to discount all the good that they've done, getting the drugs out, the pedophile rings arrested. Like, they've done a lot of good stuff. We need those men in their positions. Pam Bondi, I don't really know what to make of her because I don't have a lot of experience, but I have a feeling this weekend we're going to see one of three things. Dan Bongino and Kash Patel are gone, Pam Bondi is gone, or they have this come to Jesus moment where they figure it out because it's what the voters want.
Yeah, it's what the voters want. It's what the American people want. It's what, most importantly, you and I want. Thank you, John and Stephen. This is a fantastic show. I'm going to try to not be so biased. I think it is a fantastic show myself. I'm trying not to be biased or anything like that, but I think it was a pretty great show. Oh, I didn't mean to put this one up. Bog Chips. Stephen is great. I agree. This is
Chips.
That's why I asked Stephen to join us today. We always have a great conversation every time we talk. They have a Turning Point convention on today. Everyone talks about Epstein and Bondi, so I'm sure President Trump knows all about it. Yeah, I think President Trump has probably read the newspaper. He does still read newspaper.
1,200% increase in Google searches for Epstein files. I'm telling you, I don't think they knew how important this was. So this was actually a really good thing. The cream is going to rise, and they're going to go, okay, this is what our voters want this quarter. We're going to do everything we can. And the truth is, they may come back and say, we don't know, but it's destroyed. We don't have anything for you guys. That would be better than saying there was never anything there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I just want to address something too before we wrap up here. People on the Facebook chat, Lou Dobbs died. Someone said 7 months ago. We broadcast out on Lou Dobbs Media, which is on Lou Dobbs' channel. So this is for you folks who are joining us on Facebook. Lou Dobbs actually, it's going to be a year next Friday when Lou Dobbs passed away. We continued on with his show with the blessing of Lou's great wife. So we broadcast it out on Lou's channel. So for everyone joining us everywhere, next Friday, we're going to have a very, very special show, the 1 year. I don't even want to call it an anniversary, but marking of the great Lou Dobbs' death. Sort of interesting. Stephen and I got connected. We're planning on having Lou on Stephen's show.
Yes.
It's about a year ago now, just before he passed away. I think we had it scheduled, and it was beyond the date where Lou was called to a higher place. It's been a year now, Stephen, since I've been doing the show, and I still think about the man every single day. It's very hard. You never got the chance to meet him. I wish you did. But next Friday will be a year that he's gone. Before we wrap up, a podcast dream team today. Thank you, gentlemen. We're going to go out on that high note. You guys, you can catch Stephen, as I said, each and every day over on YouTube is probably the best place to catch him, but Rumble as well, if you like that better. Stephen Gardner, the Stephen Gardner Show, Stephen Gardner 1 over on YouTube. Stephen, I hope you have a great weekend with the kids. Thanks so much for spending part of your Friday night with us.
Thank you.
Folks, thanks so much for being with us on this Friday live edition of the Great America Show. You can catch Stephen, as I said, at Stephen Gardner 1 on YouTube. Each and every day he puts out a lot of good content over on that channel. YouTube at Stephen Gardner 1, or over here on Rumble at Stephen Gardner. Thank you all for being with us today on this live episode of the Great America Show. We hope you'll join us back here Monday and have a terrific weekend. We'll see you back here Monday, same time, same place. Until then, may God bless you. May God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a great weekend, everybody, and God bless you all.